right, so welcome to the final session. I hope you can hear me well, whoever is online. Excellent. Let us know if you can't hear well or if there's any kind of echo. So welcome back to the final session. The final session is going to be about CLIL in science. Question: what is CLIL? Any ideas? How do we? It's kind of an abbreviation, right? What is content, whatever. I like this actually because the most important word over here is this one. The rest is not important. The rest is just made for make it beautiful. So the first word is about content, and that's what we are going to talk about today. Before we start our session, let's get some feedback or assessment. Let's assess ourselves, find out what we've learned in the session. I'm going to give you stickers. Each of you need to have 2 stickers. In 2 stickers, you write 2 ideas or insights, what you've learned today. So what do you write in this sticker? Excellent. What you write over here? The same thing, just 2 things, 2 ideas or 2 insights, whatever you've learned in the session. 2 stickers for a person. Okay. 2 things, yes, and 1 minute to write, which means 30 seconds for each sticker. And then we will go shopping, people. Без разницы вообще. Пишите. I'm going to write about the copper. Finished? You need to look at me and smile if you finished writing the stickers. Look at them, smile. Awesome. Now I need Miss Ainur and Mr. Sanjar to help to demonstrate what we are going to do next. We are going shopping. How we are going shopping? It's this way. Mr. Sanjar, Miss Ainur, please. Once upon a time, Miss Malika decided to go shopping with Miss Ainur. And I tell Miss Ainur, today I learned that magnet doesn't attract copper, or copper doesn't attract magnet, whatever. The second, I learned how to use the word wall. What did you learn?
Okay, I learned about 5E learning, and I also learned that lesson preparation is very important, and we should use all 3 books in order to get prepared for the lesson.
Oh, that's important. I liked your lesson preparation. Which one did you like?
How to use Word.
Excellent. Then Miss Malika decided to go shopping with Mr. Sanjar. Mr. Sanjar, we learned in this session that lesson preparation is very important, that we need to use all 3 books to prepare, and that magnet doesn't attract copper. What did you learn?
I learned about Krashen's comprehensible input, that it is very important that students understand the message, and it's not so important, the rest of it, how we deliver it. And the second thing I learned is that you need to use 1 laptop for Zoom in order to avoid echo. Yeah.
I liked about the comprehensible input. Which one did you like?
I liked about the preparation.
What's
Yeah.
here? So this is how we go shopping. As soon as you finish discussing with someone, you need to exchange one sticker with this person. So at the end of the session, you're going to have different stickers, and this is what you're going to discuss. So let me.
All right.
Let's go shopping, people. 5 minutes to go shopping. Did you exchange? Okay. Go further shopping. Yeah. How about this lady? You already exchanged. Also, there are some more girls. Okay, finished shopping. Well done. Now, people, you were not allowed to sit down. We all stand up, stand up. We had enough food not to stand up. Whoever tells me the planets in the order is going to sit down. The planets in the order: Mercury, Venus. Excellent. How did you learn it? How did it? Okay, you may sit down. The rest, the next person. That was very quick, and people didn't have enough time to. Venus, Earth, Jupiter. Served.
Just serve Saturn as
Uranus. Excellent. How did you learn this? Yeah. My very educated mother just served us noodles. That's very easy actually. So let's write together. My very educated mother just served us noodles. You can sit down. Yes. Thanks to 2 people. Okay. Used to be new pizza, but became noodles because Pluto, I don't know what happened to Pluto. Yeah, it decided not to be a planet. So it is. Let's tell the planets in order with this abbreviation. What's the first one? Uh-huh. Venus,
Mars, Jupiter, Saturn,
Uranus, Neptune. Easy, right? Okay. So this is how we learn the planets in the order. Why did we check this, or why did we do this stuff with the planets? How is it connected to science or CLIL?
This is an example of mnemonics.
Mhm.
Mnemonics is how students prepare for the subject. There's planets, or probably, for example, colors of the rainbow.
Awesome. That's the first thing. Another thing is, who can name me name the parts of the flowers here? Who has got the second mic? Okay. So, anyone can name the parts of the flowers? Flower? What is it?
Petal or flower,
Petals,
leaves,
leaf,
stem,
stem.
root.
Why? Such wonderful science teachers. Excellent. Well done. Okay. So, what was the purpose of me showing and asking these two questions? You forgot this one. This is a seed, people. Yeah, remember, it's very important for the science teachers. Remember that it's a seed. Bless you. So, how is it connected? These mnemonics and the words, the parts of the flowers, how they are connected. The main thing is, as I said, is about this one. In CLIL, content is very important. And why it is CLIL? Why is it important? The main purpose is that we teach content using what? Exactly, using the language. And our main objective as science teachers is to teach the content as easy as possible using the language the students know. So CLIL stands for Content Language Integrated Learning, just in case for you to learn. Let me write it down. Integrated learning. Which means that knowledge of the content is the most important thing, and our objective is to learn the content on the first place. Okay, then the next one, what we are going to do is, I am going to show you the main framework of the of CLIL. For example, the last session in teaching Singapore science, we had 5E framework. Yes, let's name them again. What's the first one? Don't look at the stickers. Engage. Then what's next? Explain, elaborate, and evaluate. Excellent. These are 5 science E framework. Now we are going to learn about 4 C's in the CLIL. There are 4 C's, and the 3 ones are very important in teaching Singapore science. What you are going to do is, for each group, I am going to hand these kind of papers. Where's the lesson? And in your group, you are going to read and explain each other these 4 parts of CLIL. 4 C's of CLIL. Here and you have got 2 minutes to read and try to understand what's the 4C, and then 2 minutes to explain each other these 4 C's. Okay, can you join them, please? Thank you. Now here's yours. Everyone explains, each person explains their part. Whoever is sitting online, if you open the first pages where it's written 4 C's in CLIL, there you can see all these 4 parts and read and find out. We are going to tell more while we are discussing here. Differences. Now they are going to explain each other. All right. Now let's explain each other our C's. For example, Abdullah Bey explains others his C. So we explain each other our C's and try to understand what are these 4 C's. So Abdullah Bey, begin. No? Well, yeah, you start explaining your C.
Who's the first?
So when we say provision and we're talking just about
So this is about culture and the citizenship. And if there is a focus on citizenship or culture in the lesson, it should be like focus should be on culture. Wait, there is question just, is there a cultural focus in the lesson? For example, learners can find out about plants in their hometown. It's a cultural thing. And also, if there is some fertilizers used to help plants to grow, they can compare these fertilizers, which ones
Then how
are
do we make
more harmful than others. And it's also a cultural thing because it's about citizenship thing, because like students should care about our earth, like if the harmful effect of fertilizers are like more, then they should like be able to say that and try to
Probing
choose
questions
a
like
fertilizer
why,
that
how,
is
why do
not
you
so
think so?
harmful to the soil.
What if
Like,
questions?
yeah, it's about culture and citizenship. Thank you.
And another thing we learned in Singapore during the seminar, our professors used silent time. So when we had some experiment, they said,
It's about content. Content is a subject or
so
the,
they displayed the question
project
and said,
itself.
"Please think."
It's the most
Let's have a
important
silent
thing
time.
of the learning
So the students were actually
process.
looking at
The process like successful
the question
content
and thinking
or
about
systematic learning.
They took around like 1 minute, and the professor said that it helped them to think critically or try to like
for CLIL,
analyze what they've
to
seen
be effective,
during the
it must
experiment.
challenge
let's
learners
continue
to
the next
think
thing.
from themselves, not just listening to the teacher and thinking are here they don't get knowledge from a teacher, but they need to think from themselves. For example, and then they understand and be challenged whatever their age or abilities. And here we have a useful taxonomy of Bloom's taxonomy. You can use this. He wrote 2 categories of thinking skills, lower and higher, like this. And this is more useful in this mission for CLIL. And here we can ask one question. For example, what thinking skills are demanded of learners in the science lesson? For example, classifying leaves, here they need to think about their advantages and disadvantages from themselves. So here they need to think from themselves, not just listening to the teacher. Analyzing a critical thinking of this.
From the text, communication is science language. Why now I understand the science language. You need to communicate with each others, and you are the speaking and doing some things and speaking each other, asking questions your friends and answering, and you are going to understand the science language. And here is the text going to be language, just the tools for learning. Because of the language and also some of the other tools, materials, you can do all the flowers or anything else that is a tools. Language also tools. Do not taking enough the taking more time for the explaining the language. And also I remember one of the pictures, all of the words is a signs the same. For example, waters and just the language is a difference. Their name, for example, English people says the apple, Kazakh people says the alma, and the Turkish people says the elma. I don't know the German people says the, but this is the same things we are going to explain. And also the communication, just not a grammar system is not a grammar system. We are going to focus communicating how to learn the clues. Just to do.
Thank you so much. I think you have finished explaining each other these 4 C's in CLIL. Yes. So what are these 4 C's? What's the first one? Is the content, and what we've discussed before. The content is actually really important. Science is not just doing experiments, having fun with the students. Science is, first of all, when we teach them the content, like types of animals, the words like invertebrates, vertebrates. At least they need to differentiate or identify these types of animals. Yes. Then communication, when we ask them at least to name some of the words in English. Then cognition, which I want to talk more about right now, and the culture, which is important. It's important, actually. This culture stuff is very important. Do you know why? Because when I used to work as a teaching assistant in Kharibari Almaty school, once we had a science lesson, and the teacher said, today we're going to learn about different types of animals, wild animals and domestic animals. And then he put the camels into the wild animals part. And then all of the students said, no, Mr. Oster, actually it's not correct. Camels are domestic animals. And then he said, no, they are wild animals. He's from Australia. So for them, camels are wild animals, and for us, they are domestic animals. So this was a cultural part, which is really important to understand for us as teachers, right? So the students were confused, and then they look at me, and I like, actually they were domestic. Maybe, I don't know, they were gone somewhere in Australia, but then here in Kazakhstan they are domestic. That's one thing about the culture. Another thing about cognition in Singapore, we were told about the new not the new taxonomy, but another type of taxonomy, the solo taxonomy. Some of you mentioned about the Bloom's taxonomy, which is important when we create the questions for the better cognition of the students. And we were told about a new type of taxonomy, solo taxonomy, which is much easier to implement rather than Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy is really interesting and easy to implement in assessment, right? But this one is actually really interesting to use in science. Why? Solo taxonomy is something like this. If we take the cookies, the first lesson or the first level of solo taxonomy, it consists 4 parts. The first level of solo taxonomy is cookies. You show the students cookies, you discuss what it tastes like and what it is like, the smell, the size, and etc. The second level of taxonomy, you discuss the ingredients. You show the ingredients to the students, what it consists of the water, flour, baking soda, and etc. And the next level of taxonomy is when you take away one of the ingredients and say, you know, actually, I don't have eggs. Do you think it is possible to make cookies right now without eggs? And this is another level of thinking, right? Because students start thinking. And actually, this is what I made with my sons, because I was told about this taxonomy earlier. And it's so much fun. My sons actually thought that it's impossible to make cookies without eggs. But then we made it. They were so excited. And then they said, let's make it without the flour. I said, no, it's impossible. You need a flour. And then the next level is when you say, do you think we can make something different rather than cookies using these ingredients? And then they start thinking and saying, no, actually, these are the ingredients of the cookies. But then when they start thinking out of the box, like they can think of the bread, they can think of the pasta, and etc. That's the biggest or the highest level of thinking, right? This is the level when the student starts thinking out of the box more than you give the students. And when I saw the lesson of one of the teachers, in this level, he even asked, do you think we can build a house using the same rules as we bake cookies? And that's more challenging, isn't it? Because the students need to think like how making cookies is connected to building a house, which is actually connected, right? Because there are the steps. You need to prepare the ingredients the same. If you want to make bricks, you need to prepare the ingredients. So this is the solo taxonomy, which is also another type of cognition you can use while teaching science. Okay, and let's go.
Could you repeat the abbreviation? What is
The solo?
yeah, sense?
No. There's no abbreviation. It's just the name of the taxonomy. It's just called solo taxonomy. That's it.
No, but it has, right? Then it's not.
I don't know. No, we weren't told the abbreviation. It's just solo taxonomy. If you just Google solo taxonomy, you will see the bricks like this.
Oh,
Ah, thank you so much.
structure.
That's what I forgot. Yes, structure of observed learning something outcomes. Yeah. Okay. Then, thanks for the question. The next thing we are going to use here, you are going to look at these two things. When we teach science, these are the two things we always face as language teachers and as science teachers, right? Now, I want you to take some time to do this. What is this? What does it stand for? Any ideas? Well done. Yes, this is one of the methods, think, pair, and share, right? We are going to think for a minute, think what's the difference between them, and then share with a shoulder friend for a minute what's the difference, and then we will share as a whole group. So let me give you a minute to think in silence. We don't discuss. What's the difference between these two? Yeah, here it says vertebrate, invertebrate, short, long, group, class, and etc. Someone said, it's good. Did you find out? Okay, now let's discuss with your shoulder friend. What's the difference between these two columns? For a minute.
Joey, I have no clue. You gotta help me here. You think?
The words.
What's the difference between these two parts?
These are technical science terms. We don't hear them every day. For example, endoskeleton, exoskeleton, terrestrial, aquatic. I mean, they have
Could you say they live in water or they live in on land?
there is a layman's term for this word, the term that usual people use. But these ones are very technical, scientific words that very, very important in CLIL. And these words are usual sentences.
Okay, let's discuss as the whole group.
Yeah.
Now let's discuss as the whole group. What's the difference between these two columns?
Wow.
Maybe you have better.
I mentioned that I thought, to me, they're just descriptions of things.
Let's discuss as the whole group. Maybe you will find the answers.
Okay, let's see how.
What do you guys think?
And the right part is the same. But
So what do you think? Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I didn't have any idea what was the difference between vertebrate and invertebrate, but thanks. Always, yeah. Now we know. I guess.
So So our task is to figure out what's the difference between the words on the left side and on the right side, between the two columns. To me, first, before we focus on differences, I think we should look at the similarities. They both seem to be about a topic, science topic about animals, probably. That means the difference is not in the topic, but in something else. So what could be the difference?
I shared to Mr. Sanjay that I found the words on the left side to be highly technical scientific words, science words, for example. When you say vertebrate, you can say it simply as animals with backbones, right? Yeah, with the spine. Yeah, let's say with the spine.
So
But in
what's
science,
the
we say
answer?
they are vertebrates.
What's the difference
Uh,
between them?
Yeah, you say terrestrial.
First, your idea is better for me.
And these are the scientific
Tell them after I
terminologies.
was.
Like
But
in second
in a
column,
way,
focus
we
more
can
on the
express
vocabulary,
these
like
words in a much
these,
more simple
words can be used
vocabulary.
to define something, some
I think
objects.
that's the one
Whereas on the
defined
first column,
Right.
like these
Probably
are
the primary
scientific terms.
kids would
Mhm.
prefer the
Yeah.
right side.
Yeah. yes, I
Okay,
agree.
any more ideas?
Because
Close,
all these
that was
words,
close.
They actually
First columns is
talk about
about speaking to one of the
vertebrates and
topics, and
vertebrates
one of
and
the
animals.
whole topics inside.
However, like
Mhm.
the degree
And
of
second one is
the difficulty of
continuing
these words,
as well,
like these are
or
more
the opposite.
advanced than these
and
words.
also a couple
The
of
right
the
side.
definition words, but the opposite is
Wow, I think we nailed
Mhm.
it.
opposite.
We're ready.
Mhm.
Kill
Short,
gap.
long, long.
Yes,
Thank
much
you, guys.
closer, much closer. Okay. Mhm.
Should we share our thoughts to groups?
Yes, let's share our ideas. What's the difference between these two columns?
I think that in the second column, the main focus was on the vocabulary thing. Like these words, this vocabulary can be used to define some object or something, living thing. While in the first column, there are given scientific terms to a particular topic.
Mhm.
Also, too similar for me. Then the first column is we are going to more focus about the science and also skeletons for the body systems, body inside and outside. But the second columns is going to be also the scientific terms, but this maybe they are looking to opposite meaning of the words. For the short and the long is meaning the opposite words.
Close, that was close, almost. What else? Any ideas? What's the difference between these two columns? Any ideas?
I think we can first we can use both of the words in teaching CLIL.
Mhm.
However, the words in the first column are technical scientific terms. For example, vertebrate is if you haven't heard about the word vertebrate, you wouldn't know what is a vertebrate.
Mhm.
But in a way, we can make these words
Mhm.
simpler for the students to understand, and I think that's the purpose of the second column. So
Mhm.
they serve the same purposes. It's just the first column are more, technical and scientific.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Almost, that was also close. Okay, now let's have some silent time. I give you the answers. And just a little hint, you should have thought like teachers. You forgot that you are teachers. Come on. This is the teachers seminar, people. So what's the difference? Did you get it?
Yeah.
Awesome. So, what's the difference between them?
first
So the first one is the content obligatory language is the terms about our subjects. some terms which students need to learn and know. For example, let's take the same mnemonics, yes? So if you look at these words, what type of words are these ones? My very educated mother just served us noodles. Is it content obligatory or content compatible words? These are compatible words, which means they can learn these words actually in English. They don't need science to learn these words, yes? But behind these words, the words like Mercury, Venus, Earth, etc., they are content obligatory language words, which is about the science, which they are going to learn only about science. So if we go back, if we have a look at these words, then they are not going to learn invertebrate and vertebrates in English. Mostly they are going to learn it in science. But the words like short, long, they learn every single language English lesson. They are going to learn about the words like head, body, and tail in English language, because, well, that's the part of teaching English, when they learn these kind of words. Now, what I want you to do is to open the copybook, activity book, students book, which you have on your tables. Open any page, any tasks and activities, and find out these content obligatory and content compatible words, just to make, well, to differentiate. Have a look at these words. If you find, then share with your group mates. We can show here. Any.
Always content obligated language. So there is a give the sampling information here.
You see? So let me give you 5 minutes to share with each other where you found the content compatible and obligatory words. For example, I can share mine. If you open grade 2 unit 2 page 18, there you can see the words like harmful, poisonous. These are content compatible words, or obligatory words, which is about science. But the words like sick, make you sick, should, or the words like plant, mouth, these words are content compatible words, which they are going to learn in English actually. Then parts, also the words like parts and plants and seeds, these are content compatible words, which they are going to learn in English. Now I have a question. Why do we need these words? Why do we need to differentiate these words? Yeah, why is it important to differentiate the content compatible and content obligatory language?
Why is it important?
The first one is content compatible language. I think the brain and the light is open the first students. Then after, if you give the content obligating, and they are learning very well, for my opinion. Firstly, if the educational for the, we are going to engaging like the exploring methodologies, the compatible language, if you use the first one, they are going to starting to open and give the places for their brain. After you give the information, obligate for the explaining like methodology and the obligatory language, and after they learn very well.
So it's compatible first.
Then after obligatory. And also here, this is a giving the information, my books 78. And they are looking to look at the compatible, for example, then for the 4 seasons of the spring, summer, autumn, winters, they're like warm, hot, cool, and the windy, and the cold and the snow. They get the compatible 78. Which grade? Second grade. Second grade.
Awesome. So which words are compatible words here?
Compatible words that I'm going to warm, hot, and the cool and the cold.
Yeah.
And for after then the obligatories for the spring, summer, autumn. They give the matching each.
Exactly.
Like common words, the seasons.
Yeah, even the seasons can be compatible words because
Yes.
they are well common words in English. But the words like light, for example, thin clothes, light clothes, these
Also
can
same.
be can be obligatory. Depends on the student's level. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. If it is, for example, grade 1 students, then they might not know the word like light. Yes. Or they might not differentiate the word light in the context, for example. They can think that is this kind of light. Yeah. Okay. Do you have any ideas? Did you find any compatible obligatory words, this group? Yeah, examples and why we need them. Your ideas.
If you are working with Science 3, page 18, says here, calcium is a mineral that helps to build strong bones and teeth.
I'll give you the topic.
I would say that when we
Which
say
page, sorry?
page 18, Science 3. So I would say that calcium and mineral, these are the content obligatory language, and it will be supported, and it will help students to talk about these calcium as a mineral if they have these compatible languages, such as helps build strong bones and teeth.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, it helps them to talk about the topic
Mhm.
itself. Yeah. For better understanding. That's why we need to associate both
Yeah.
content obligatory language to that of content compatible language. They go together.
Actually, Mr. Sanjar said something really important. These two words are strongly connected to Miss Ainur's and my session closely. Why? When we do assessments in science, which words we need to focus on? Content obligatory words. Yeah, it's very important to use these vertebrates and invertebrates, is it?
Yeah.
What the students are going to feel then? Exactly. They are going to have a strong anxiety, yes? How about Stephen Krashen? What did he say? The more students have anxiety, the less motivation they're going to have to study, right? That's, remember, Miss Aysulu's session. Actually, this teacher's guide gave really difficult questions with content obligatory language. What did she do? Yes, she just used
Simple words.
simple, compatible words. Yes, she didn't want them to speak in the using the terms. Yes, the content is important, but in the level of understanding. If they understand, if they communicate using these compatible words, that is enough. Yeah. Well, for the assessment, it is better to have 70% of obligatory words, or not compatible words, which students understand, and 30% of obligatory, it is enough. I'm not saying don't use any obligatory words, but this percentage is enough. Why, Mr. Sanjar? Because? Yes, because of the Krashen's theory. What did Krashen say? What was his theory? Awesome, that's the first message he said. But then at the beginning of the video, he said, we learn language in only one way. What's the way we learn language? What? When we understand messages. Yes, the meaning. Which of these words carry more understanding the messages? Compatible words help us to understand message clearer than obligatory language. That is why, just because it carries more messages, we need to use 70% of these words and only 30% just because it is about the content, because it is about our subject. Yeah. All right. That's why I wanted you to focus on these two very important things. Okay. Then the next thing, what we are going to do is we are going to have some more of this activity. What's the name of this activity, Miss Ainur? Keep silent.
Think very sure.
Awesome. It's called Think, Pair, Share. Yeah, and sharing with the whole group. What I want you to think now is think for a minute 5 main aspects to consider while you are planning the science lesson, and then not with your shoulder friends, but with your nose friends, discuss these 5 aspects, and then for a minute you discuss as a whole group what are the 5 most important aspects while planning the lesson. Okay, so for a minute we keep silent and think. You can even write your ideas somewhere if you need, and then you will share your ideas. Okay, now let's discuss with your nose friends these ideas. Actually, you have wrong nose friends. If you sit here, your nose friend is going to be the different person. So sit down here. Yeah. And you are going to be nose friends. So no. Okay.
Not yet.
Right. So
I only have three.
excellent. Then you are going to join and make 5 on and off. Yeah. So
What's yours?
don't look at her.
I've written here subjects of students of 5 hours. Background. Next, we have to consider the content of the lesson, considering the 2 things we just mentioned earlier about obligatory and faculty.
Uh-huh.
We have to put them together.
Awesome. That's what we forgot, right? Okay. How about yours?
First, we have to establish proper objectives for the lesson, not just any random objective, but appropriate lesson. Thing number 2 is very critical. We have to think about engaging and appropriate activities or experiments. We both agree with the vocabulary words, especially content obligatory words. And I think students' prior knowledge is also important.
That's
You cannot teach a high topic without them knowing.
Yeah.
Okay, we have time.
Okay. Awesome. Now let's do like this. Why don't you join that group and then you think about like 5 aspects together. You join, you discuss as a group, and you join them and discuss as a group. Can you? Yes. Okay. So you discuss as a group. Discuss these 5 aspects of lesson planning in CLIL, you three, yes, 3 of you. And let's go and join them and discuss together with them the 5 aspects of planning. Can you? Or you can go and join them. Yeah. You may sit here. Okay. All right. So Ainur is joining you. Why don't you create these 5 aspects of planning together then?
And then look at
We
the,
both
you watch the
agree
video, you
with
remember
yes.
that the teacher is going to explain in Chile
Mr. Albert.
and Chile, and they are focusing on the 5E, and also, and she is not Chile's people, she is not Chile's teachers, yes, and also she is attention at 4C.
So maybe you can
Cultural
explain
stuff,
more.
and you know the culture, and also you are the locals, and then you know these cultures and traditions of the locals.
And maybe add
For example,
elaboration here.
just tricky
What
things for
can
the
they do?
information.
Like
And
here
the
we
usual
have
people's
engagement with
always
the right,
looking
but
to show
after,
what is very
while
important
the
within
lesson,
the
what
classes.
is the results
And then
of
they are looking
this
for
lesson,
each of
what
them,
they can do,
all
how
the
will
teachers asking their
evaluate
students,
what
are you
they
sure?
learned.
And they're checking their paper.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They are shocked. My son also shocked with it. Why they are asking if they are shocked or not. Very, very important. And the cultures is, I understand the cultures. And the communications also, we are going to using the communication also. And the language is not important basis. I think that 5 is. 5 is. And then before the start and teaching, for example, and for Asian teachers are doing maybe mistake.
Practical application.
Getting the mistakes.
So how do you plan the science lesson, for example? What do you consider first?
If I know if it's the second one. Yeah.
First you engage and then
You have some more? Maybe we can have.
what do you do for the explore the problem?
Explore and then explain. And
Then how are you going to explain something?
And when we are explaining, I think we will give the student and they're doing some of the experiments themselves, and they are going to explain. I remember for the explaining part, students going to be teaching something for the writing here, and the putting on the bare body. And I remember that video.
That's interesting. Yeah, when they match their body parts. Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much for sharing your ideas. Let's the 2 groups share our ideas. Like, what does the first group think about what you need to consider while planning your lesson? What do you think?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, your group.
Yeah, so as you have heard, so of course we have to consider the appropriate objectives for the lesson.
Excellent.
That's number 1. I think it's also a number 1, engaging in appropriate activities or simple experiments for the students to do. Vocabulary words, especially your content of the difficult words, and of course the other one. Compatible. We can also, or we should also consider students' prior knowledge, because you cannot teach something that they, without previously knowing the background or basis of that topic. And lastly, we all agreed about expected outcomes, assessment, and maybe practical application of that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Anything to add? How about your group? What we need to consider while planning the science lesson?
We're going to when we get the science lesson, before first is the 5 E's. It's the rule: engaging, intent, explore, explain, and elaborate, and evaluate. When you are going this planning, we have to attention the first of the 4 C's. How do it? For example, in the cultures, I'll get explaining some of the cultural thinking is very important, and after communication and congregation. And the 5 C's are very important. For example, actually, I'm a Asian teacher here. And sometimes I'm thinking about my own countries, and I'm going to teaching this one, but I have to adapt these countries and changing the CLIL techniques for these local cultures. and the end of, we can effectively teach.
So that's important, yes?
Yeah, very important. I teach 5 country, and also this is 6th one. It's continuing. I see what is the meaning. That's very important.
Okay, thank you so much. So the next exercise, or the next task is for you. This is actually the lesson design for science. You can use this template to plan your science lessons in the future. And there are some comments what you need to consider while planning your lesson. I'm going to give only one part for each, or one piece of information for each person. Yeah. And the rest you're going to find out while discussing with your colleagues. Okay. You already have 2 because it's important.
Observing outcomes and objects, subject complex computation.
And here,
Actually,
do
this
as
is a way for the planning of science teaching. Yes.
yeah, this is a kind of a,
It's just a way, yes.
yeah, this is what is important while you are planning your science lesson. These are the things you need to consider. Your task is read your part, include it in your table. For example, Abdullah Bey has only cross-cultural links, and he is going to write in his table this issue, and then he goes to other people to find out more about the other parts, because all of you have different parts. So yes, now you have got, let me give you like 6 minutes to complete and then find out about these important parts of lesson planning in science. For others, for the ones who are listening online, I'll write a task in the chat. Oh, this is awesome. Your part. Cross-cultural links is the connection with other subjects, like connection to other subjects.
For science, we're going to the connection maths, maybe
Sure.
a PE lesson.
Yes.
Mm,
So you need to write down, what does it say? Is that, you see, teachers need to plan to have references to learning similar content in other subjects. For example, imagine when you are planning, you can imagine you are sitting in teacher's room and planning your lesson, and you hear the art teacher saying that we are drawing plants now, and you are learning
or-
plants. Yeah.
Number arts. is
Yeah,
very
why don't you
interesting.
have a cross-cultural lesson, like connect 2 lessons together, integrated lessons, then it's going to be fun, engaging, and interesting, right? Okay. I drop it again. I've sent it earlier, maybe they missed it.
For example, in a sense, we don't just teach them just words. Yeah? So to explain one word, we need to use some sentences, phrases, and after that we can understand the text.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So whenever you teach science, you don't teach them just the words, yes?
Yeah.
You teach them phrases, for example, light helps something, shadow comes from, the words like this, like comes from, and etc. So that they can use it, because if you want to have language output, then we need to make the input process easier, much easier.
Output, we need to
Easier input. Okay, good. All right, so if you've completed analyzing your own parts, let's start mingling and find out from your friends about the other part of the lesson, and write down the comments, and like in 5-6 minutes you should have your table completed about the most important aspects in planning science lesson. Okay, and I'm going to add some ideas.
This is actually we don't
Mhm.
this one and the others. Cross-curricular links, for
So
example.
when you
and
plan the
when you're
tasks,
teaching
your
science,
tasks should be
you
connected
are
to
going
5E,
see
right?
math teacher,
So the
what
first
math
task should be
is,
maybe.
math, and that's maybe PE lesson,
Ну,
sport
там
lesson,
5E же есть. Когда мы
okay.
задачи, наверное, планируем, мы должны планировать их according to 5E. Значит, первое у нас что было? Engage. Значит, первый task желательно engaging task. Then the next task should be exploring task. Yes? So it's well, you can't have all 5E tasks, but it's important to at least have two maybe of them. For example, you can have a lesson with engaging and exploring tasks, or then you can have engaging and elaborating tasks. So these tasks mostly should be connected to 5E. Yeah.
And we need to speak together and the meeting together maybe.
get some output from them. For example, we don't see them every time one word. We always
Easier.
and after that, they will understand that.
And whenever you are going to using concepts, create your own language. Whole night is easy.
Lead it to? No, go further and find about the other part.
Actually, teachers in Kazakhstan, we are ignore this one always.
And that's the most important issue.
Many
Cross-curricular task links.
Many times, I know the physics teachers come to ask me, "Did you teach these topics?" I said, "No, next year we are going to teach." And why we are in the teachers?
Ah, so bad. What a pity.
And then
Когда мы планируем урок science, есть некоторые аспекты, которые нужно учитывать. Это не просто teaching English, ESL, это Teaching Science via CLIL. И если мы хотим, чтобы был результат, желательно все вот это иметь в виду. И вообще вот это можно использовать как lesson template. То есть запланировать или unit template, или lesson template, используя вот эти
Разные аспекты.
Да. То есть если все вот это есть в Unity или же на уроке, то значит урок действительно будет CLIL Science lesson, not just English lesson or just science lesson. Language support.
Teachers first must consider the students' prior knowledge. I think this attitude about collaboration is important in communication during prayer education. But the main point of learning outcomes and objectives, everything must be learner centered. And then I also have assessment.
I'm going to do something for you.
So from assessment, the assessment, it's not an obvious assessment. It's not even a conscious assessment for the students, but it's how we perceive how they are working.
And they are looking the curriculum teachers. For example, in my life, many times I see that they're connecting the physics teachers. And the physics teachers ask me, why you are not teaching these topics? And I said, we will teach next year. They said, why? Because we teach the 8th grade, and then there's a big problem.
Okay, have you completed everything? I have here tasks. She is also, I can explain for her. So basically when we are planning the tasks, we need to consider something very important in science. What? No, something really important in science.
The 5 E's.
Yes, the 5 E's. That's what we need to consider while we are planning the tasks. As Miss Sue said, you can't have all 5 E's in one lesson, but at least you need to try to have 2 E's, yes? For example, first task should be always engaging, second task can be a task for elaboration, depends on your lesson objective. Or one task, if one first task is engaging, the second can be about exploring or exploration. Okay. Then the last one is language support. Who has got the language support? Okay. Please, we're listening.
Language support here, for example, in science, we don't explain every time some words. We need to explain, or we need to use some phrases and like the sentences easier. We need to explain them the words or something else in easier way. And after that, they can understand the full text and etc. To get some output, we need to input something in easier way.
And also language is related to language partners. Language is also tools.
Yeah.
Communication is an important language support.
And also, did you write about subject content?
Finish, right?
Yeah, we did.
It's okay, format. Anyway, about formative assessment, you do not need to record your students' formative assessment every lesson. It's not necessary, but it could be helpful if you do that for a period of several weeks, or maybe a unit, or maybe a chapter, to really see how they progress with the skills that you want them to learn with it. It's important to record the date when teachers, or when you as a teacher have observed the learner's achievement of such skills, or learning outcomes.
Are we done? Okay, so let me wrap up about the lesson planning. So whenever this template, I'm going to upload, or we can take a picture and send it to the chat. Can you show the lesson plan template? This one. So here's this template I actually made based on this book, teaching CLIL via teaching science via CLIL. And I thought that it's important while planning, either you can use it while planning the unit, or you can use it while planning the lesson. Because whenever you use this template, it means you do not miss the most important aspects while planning the science lesson. Let me wrap up the most important things you've mentioned while explaining your partners or your group mates. So the first thing is cross-curricular stuff. Abdullah Bey said we always miss it, which is so important when you teach science. For example, I know that Miss Ainur last year in Shymkent, when she was teaching science, she had some integrated lesson with, what did you have integration? With art, for example, with homeroom teachers. For example, imagine you have the unit called animals. You can go to the art teacher and say, why don't we create the animals together? In art lesson, the students can create animals out of different stuff. For example, trash art out of the rubbish. But in your lesson, they can learn the different parts of the animals. This is called an integrated lesson. The more integrated lessons we have in science and science with other subjects, the better is going to be the outcome, because it comes to the revision, constant revision. Students always revise, students recall their language all the time, their knowledge, the content all the time. The tasks, when we create the tasks, it's important to have all 5E tasks, at least 2 of them because of the time constraint, of course. And language support, the easier the input, just like Ms. Aysulu showed, the better is the output. So also we need to remember about content compatible language. What's the percentage? Do you remember? 70% content compatible. only 30% content obligatory terms, yes, because we don't want our students, I don't know, to have some kind of resistance towards science. We want them to be engaged in science, yes, because the first 5E is engagement. Then the next one, thinking and learning skills, we use the solo taxonomy, try to make it difficult every stage. Then lesson objectives, it's important to remember the prior knowledge. And here you can also use this integration, because you can think of the prior knowledge of the students in other subjects, not only in your subject. Assessment should be the for teacher. Mainly it should look like a feedback rather than assessment. So when you take a formative assessment, for example, you remember the first, how we began this session? What did we do? You went shopping. Yes, you forgot how you went shopping. And what do you think I learned from this activity?
What did we learn from the last session?
Yes, I found out that actually Miss Aysulu's session was very helpful, because most of the things you were using from her session about 5E, about preparation, lesson planning, and etc. So it's kind of a feedback for me to plan the next sessions in the future. So mostly it's better to use assessment as a kind of a feedback, because students are never going to say, oh, the lesson was boring, because they love you. They always love the teachers. They are always going to say, thumbs up, the lesson was great. Yes. Then the last one, the subject content, we have the we need to have a constant revision. For example, the word walls, phrases, posters with the content obligatory words on the wall, because students must see if we want them to use the term language or the content language or the target language during the lesson. That's the most important thing. The final thing, what I want to discuss with you is, before you fall asleep, is this one. Have a look at these activities and tell me, please, which of these activities do you think are suitable for science lesson? You can see actually in your handouts. If you check your handouts, then you can see it's on the last page. Which of these activities do you think are suitable?
Classify types of materials, plants, etc.
Which one?
Classifying. First column, second row.
Ah, yeah, classifying. It's interesting. What else?
Select and organize information.
Yeah. Anything else?
Compare and contrast results. Complete the diagram.
How do you collect and organize the information? Can you give specific example what we can do? I can give you one example. For example, when we had our project work, Miss Aino remembers, in PYP, we have something called project work, which is closely connected to science. And you can ask students to find information in Google, which they find really interesting. And this is when they collect different information and organize them according to, to the topic. You just collected and organized the information. I gave you different parts of one piece of text. You can do the same. You can cut the whole text or maybe some information with the pictures, hand out to different students. They need to ask each other to complete their table. That's collecting and organizing the information. Any other ideas? Which of these activities we can use? Nothing else? Others are boring?
All of them.
No, you need to choose. Yeah, comparing, contrast. What else? All of them are suitable for English. Which one is suitable for science?
True, false, and those would
false
be
is-
very suitable in terms of CLIL, because students, especially those who are struggling with language, they prefer to have options to choose from, because then it leverages their remembering memory from previous. But if you just give them open questions, they could struggle because they can't construct sentences. But if it's true, false, yes, no, or multiple choice, they would find it easier to less anxiety. Going back to question.
Exactly. True and false is about
fill in the blank, and they're looking to what they learn exactly learns. But the true false question, maybe they're ignore the question what they finished at the end of the lesson because we have to boring. Let's write and go.
that's a funny comment.
Yes, and also for the multiply choose also same, but the fill in the blank question also we check this one. You get this one, fill in the blank. We are try to write, and we're working empty energy, but we are going to press and the doping to fill in the blank.
That's correct. I agree, but I also agree with Mr. Sanjar. So, quick question: which level is true or false in solo taxonomy? First level. Which level is filling the blanks?
Maybe third level.
The third, maybe the second, yes. Which level is this one, which I gave you to complete the information?
Fourth.
The fourth level, yes. So yes, it depends on the levels of the different difficulty you want to have your students, yes. And sometimes referring to true and false is also great. Okay, actually, yes, you are correct. This is the list of the activities you can use in CLIL. I just wanted to gather some really interesting ideas, what you can use in CLIL. Sometimes you may lack some ideas, and you can open this page and say, oh, thank you, Malika, for these wonderful ideas. Grab one of them and create your lesson. So this is the end of our session on CLIL, teaching science via CLIL. I really hope that you found this session informative, and especially you are going to use this lesson template while planning your lesson, and use less content. Which words? Obligatory. Yes, less content obligatory, but more content compatible words. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.